The year is coming to an end. In fact, the decade is coming to an end. The 2010s are wrapping up. 2020 is around the corner. But what were the best fragrances of the 2010s? Well, I've got 25 men's designer fragrances here that are ranked from my least favorite to my most favorite. Probably some of you know some of the fragrances. And I'm only actually going to mention fragrances that I really, really love. So there's 25 of them, and we're going to tell you what they are coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. If this is your first time tuning into the channel and you love watching fragrance reviews, finding out about new fragrances, discovering new brands, and of course participating in giveaways and still haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. Just before we jump, let me just tell you 25 favorite fragrances. We're only doing men's fragrances. These are all men's designer fragrances from their signature collections, nothing from their private collections, no unisex, nothing like that. So I had to remove fragrances that I really love that were targeted unisex, that I really love that were like part of their more exclusive collection. These are all the basic fragrances from the designers. We'll get started with number 25, and we're going to start off with something very easy to wear, but it's not the original version, it's the EDP version that came out several years ago. This is Chanel Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum. So what I like about this one is it's a very simplistic, easy to wear fragrance, and it's for one of those days when I want a dumb reach fragrance but I want to smell great. It's a compliment getter, it's a crowd pleaser, and it is a dumb reach fragrance. It's something that's simplistic, not overwhelming, not too much going on, just easy to wear and smell great. At 24, going to the house of Cartier. There are two fragrances from the house of Cartier, and I wanted to feature this in my honey fragrances video. Unfortunately, I didn't have a bottle at the time, which it should be on the video, but Cartier's L'Envol de Cartier, this one right here, in its original form in the EDP. My previous bottle was completely empty, but this one is a very musky honey fragrance. It's sweet but not overly sweet. It's musky but not overly musky. It's a great classy fragrance to wear, and it's targeted to men, but I find it to be also unisex for women to wear as well. Number 23, going to the house of Bottega Veneta, and this is Bottega Veneta Pour Homme in the Eau de Toilette concentration. And this one actually is a fragrance that I've known and loved for a while, and I just recently picked it up this year. It's been around for about 5 years, I believe, somewhere around there, and I think it's a great classy masculine fragrance, very woody, pine and things like that. There's some balsamic and resinous notes in there as well, but it's more fresh and pine and things like that. It's very, very classy to wear. It could be somebody's signature scent. I find it to be a very classy, masculine, woody fragrance with like citrus background. So Bottega Veneta Pour Homme, a great scent from this house. At number 22, Carolina Herrera CH Men Prive. This one I really love. I love the way it smells, but I find it to be too thin. It's really a thin fragrance and very, very not so long lasting, but it smells great. It's boozy take on the original CH Men, which I believe came out in the 2000s, not 2010s, but I could be wrong. But I didn't want to feature any of the other ones. This one definitely deserves to be on the top 25, and I like it. It's a leathery, boozy, sugary fragrance, and just imagine the original boozified with like whiskey note. But I find it to be a very thin fragrance, so you gotta kind of spray a little over with this one, but a little more than normal is what I'm trying to say. Number 21, it's Armani's Acqua di Gio Profumo. This one came out in the mid-2010s, like 2015, I believe. This one actually, to me, reminds me of the original Acqua di Gio, but just a little more sharper, a little more patchouli, a little more incense. The original has been just watered down too much, the original Acqua di Gio Eau de Toilette, but here we've got something more intense, a little more beefier, a little more woodier, smokier, patchouli, and it's one that I really, really like and enjoy. It's not a house that I really gravitate towards too much with their fragrances, and also there's no YSL on this list. I just realized that, from the same parent company, L'Oreal. But it's a great scent. I really like this one. Of course, I don't like it as much as some of the other ones that are coming up, but this one definitely is much better than the original Eau de Toilette version of Acqua di Gio. Now, if you think Acqua di Gio, the original Eau de Toilette, is too weak, definitely check this one out. I find it to be a great take on the original. The next one is a little mixed up here. I'm going to pick the correct fragrance. It's from the house of Prada, and it's L'Homme Intense, this one right here. This is a flanker to the original. I find this one to be a little more interesting than the original version. The original version did not make the list. This one did. This came out in I think 2016 or 2017, and it's one of those fragrances that's you know, the iris, lavender, kind of a, I guess personally I find it to be inspired by the Dior Homme fragrances, and a great take on it, but definitely not Dior Homme Parfum or Dior Homme Intense. Just it's lacking a little something, but if I was wanting to feature one of them, definitely the EDP is the better version of the entire series of flankers. The O, or the low, I believe, is a little too weak for me, and the original is kind of boring, but this one has some oomph to it and a little more exciting, so I do feature it in this list. At number 19, going to the House of Hermes, and this is Equipage Geranium. What a great scent this is. This is targeted to men, and it's a great classy, masculine, woody, aromatic fragrance with lots of spices. To me, it feels like a little bit of like a what do you call it, a fougere styling of fragrance, and it also hints a little bit at Dior, not Dior, Chanel's Boy. The geranium in here similarly reminds me of the geranium in Chanel's Boy. It has that same aromatic and spiciness of the geranium in the Boy. It's a fragrance on its own. It's a flanker to the original Equipage from years ago, but this is a great classy version of the Equipage fragrance with the geranium added to the fragrance. If you like classy masculine fragrances, men's fragrances, definitely check this one out. Spicy, woody fragrance, aromatic. Then go into the House of Cartier, its Declaration, the Parfum version that came out from a few years ago. This is very sexy. This is very spicy. Very intense version, concentrated version than the original Declaration. The original Declaration was created by Jean-Claude Helena. This one was created by the Cartier in-house perfumer Mathilde Laurent. I've got two Cartier fragrances obviously in this list that you've noticed. I like this one a little more than L'Envol de Cartier because this one's sexy, classy, really awesome fragrance. There's a bit of like a spicy cumin note in there as well. Kind of gives it a very sparkliness, crackling cumin. I just experience crackling for some reason, and I like that about this one. Next, going back to Hermes, we've got Hermes Cartier, Cartier Hermes. This is from the Terre de Hermes flanker Eau Très Fraîche. This one right here, love this one. If you guys want to know a little secret, this one is a kind of, it's created by Jean-Claude Helena because he created the original Terre de Hermes. There is a fragrance for Frederic Malle he created. I'm drawing a blank with the name. If you guys remember, please put it down. This is exactly like the Frederic Malle. So if you like that fragrance and you don't know about this one, definitely test them. Buy samples, test the two. They're very close. In fact, the Frederic Malle is much more pricier. This is a lot cheaper. But this one is a fresh take on the original Terre de Hermes with lots of citruses. It's very fresh and refreshing, but there is a bit of cumin in here thrown in, or caraway seed. So you gotta like that kind of like spiciness to it, but a great flanker to the original. In fact, I'm favoring this one over the original Terre de Hermes. I find Terre de Hermes has gotten really boring for me. I've worn so much of it, and I couldn't feature on this list anyway because it came out in the 2000s rather than the 2010s. So this is a flanker that came out in the early 2010s, and I really love this one. At number 16, going to the House of Mugler, it's Pure Tonka. Now, Mugler's take on the tonka bean note, the popular tonka, the Fève, a delicious bean, Fève delicious. I like this one a lot. It's definitely not pure malt, or more so pure Havane. And actually, there's one more fragrance here from the House of Mugler, not two more, just one more. And sadly, Pure Havane and Pure Malt did not make this list because they both came out in the 2000s rather than the 2010s. So sadly, they're not here. Although they did come out as limited editions and they brought them back in the early 2010s, but since they were originally launched in the 2000s, they're not on this list because they didn't come out in this decade. But Pure Tonka is just about tonka beans with that Mugler kind of a backbone, the Mugler DNA. So if you like tonka bean smell, kind of gourmand, chocolatey cacao with the Mugler patchouli kind of DNA, then this one is going to be up your alley. So this is Mugler's Pure Tonka, a great men's fragrance that's very unisex, by the way. At number 15, going to the House of Tom Ford, it's Noir Extreme, this one right here. Another one that's unisex, that's targeted to men, but women can pull it off. This is a great flanker to the original Tom Ford Noir, and I guess I like this one a little better, although I should have included Tom Ford Noir Anthracite on this list. I don't have my bottle, I don't know where it went, but I find that to be a very great release from this decade, but sadly it was so unsuccessful, it was immediately pulled from Tom Ford. I mean, they don't sell it anymore. But this one's a great take on a gourmand ice cream pistachio kind of a combo fragrance with that original Tom Ford Noir fragrance DNA. But it's a good one. It's definitely not top 10 for me because I have a very, very solid top 10 list, but this one is still a very, very great release for men from the 2010s that I really enjoy wearing, and it's a great classy bottle. In fact, this is so unisex, Tom Ford decided to come out with a femme version that's slightly more floral. Still, it's very unisex to me. Both of them are. Both of them are very easy to be worn by both sexes. So I guess they thought, what, we're not going to make a unisex fragrance and we're going to make one for men, but it's unisex enough, we're going to release one for ladies as well, which is kind of odd. Sadly, this is the only Tom Ford. I had Tom Ford Ombre Leather on here, but it got removed because it is a unisex fragrance, unfortunately. But at number 14, going to the house of DUNHILL. This is DUNHILL Icon, this one right here. This is a great, great release from this house. Very, very green and aromatic, slightly pungent, kind of a woody take on freshness. It's very green, it has petitgrain, it has citruses, it has lots of woody notes, it has vetiver, it hints at a little bit of terre de Hermes, a little bit, not too much. Also, it hints at a little bit of a couple of niche fragrances that I know. I don't want to name the brands, unfortunately, but this is a great release. I find this one to be the best out of the entire series of Icon fragrances, and a great one to wear in the summertime. It's a great fresh woody with a heft to it, but also all year round. You can wear this one all year round, and it's like kind of like signature scent. And that bottle is to die for gorgeous. It's a great looking bottle and an awesome release from the house of DUNHILL. Prior to this, DUNHILL was kind of down, you know, like not doing very well as far as releases go, but this one kind of put them back on the map, and I really love this house. Sadly, they don't have too many fragrances. The latest release for men did not make this list, unfortunately. I think it's called Century, if I remember correctly, but DUNHILL Icon is awesome. And this next one is from the house of Valentino, and this is Valentino UOMO Intense, this one right here. A great, great take on the original Valentino UOMO. A darker, richer, slightly more powderier, slightly classier. There's a sexiness about it, just more intensity, a little less gourmand, because the original Valentino UOMO was more gourmand to me, but this one is a great, great take on the original. Now I have two Valentinos. The other one is coming right after this, and Valentino, I believe, is now part of L'Oreal as well. They used to be part of Puig, and they are now sucked up by L'Oreal. And also Prada is actually just recently went to L'Oreal, so L'Oreal is sucking up all the brands. They're taking all the brands, they're going to make all the fragrances, and I hope they don't start all smelling the same, because I'm getting bored of all the fragrances recently from the designers. It's just really getting boring. These are pretty much some of the best releases that I'm talking to you about, the ones that I approve of as far as designer fragrances go, but there are fragrances out there that smell so similar to each other that I don't even want to talk about. But this one's a great one, a great, great release from the house of Valentino. This is UOMO Intense, and speaking of Valentino, at number 12, it's Noir Absolu, UOMO Noir Absolu, this one right here. Now this one started out very, I was a little unimpressed when it first came out and I reviewed it, because it reminded me of a niche fragrance that I had. I'm not going to talk about the brand. Unfortunately, that brand took all those fragrances that they had launched, completely redone them. So that fragrance that I thought this reminded me of is no longer in existence. They redid the fragrance. I'm going to give you a little clue, maybe you can figure it out. It is created by Dominique Ropion, the brand's fragrances, the first set. But anyway, now that that's gone, this one's kind of crept up and become a very, very great fragrance to me, because it does remind me of that now long lost fragrance from this niche house created by Dominique Ropion. This is all about sandalwood and spices. There's some vanillic touches in there, and I think there's some cinnamon in here as well. Nothing like the original UOMO, and nothing like the UOMO Intense. This is a unique creation on its own. I guess it's kind of utilizing some of the original notes, but it's a unique take on the original fragrance. It's very sandalwoody and it's very spicy vanillic. This is UOMO Noir Absolu. Next one is from the house of Robert Graham, and it's Fortitude. This is it right here. Now we have two fragrances from this house, and they've only launched 3, and I love the 2 and I hate the 1. Courage is not my favorite. Valor is on this list as well. But this one is so good. It's kind of like very ambery with tonka beans. There's some resinous touches in here. When you smell it, you can pick up some labdanum and some spices and just very oriental type notes. There's a little bit of a leathery undertone as well, like there's some slight leathery touches, but perhaps maybe some saffron thrown in. But a great release. Very niche quality designer release. I love this one. If you want something very unique and it's not something that your friends might be wearing, definitely check this out. And they're designer fragrances, and you can find these for around $30 to $50, $60 for a 100 ml bottle, and definitely worth it. So check it out. Fortitude, it's number 11 from Robert Graham. One thing I forgot to mention, it does get a slight bit animalic, but then again, that could be totally fine, and you might not even pick it up. Next up is one that's discontinued, sadly. I have to feature it because it was one of my favorite fragrances, and it is from the house of Mugler. This is Amen Ultra Zest, this one right here. This is my last, no, I have one more backup bottle, and this is it right here. I use it very sparingly. And this was a great flanker of the original. I thought this was great, solid release, but they never brought it back. Maybe under L'Oreal they'll bring this one back, I don't know. But this one is a great take on the original Amen with the citrusy blood orange and orange touches. I really love it. It's a Mugler. It's eau de toilette. It's one you can wear all year round. It's very happy, bright, sunshiny, obviously you can tell from the bottle, and smells delicious. It's just juicy citruses. Really lovely fragrance, and sadly it's no longer around. Hopefully they'll bring it back. We shall see, but Mugler transition happens early next year. Either way, this is Mugler Ultra Zest. At number 9, going to the house of Robert Graham again, and this is the Valor I was talking about, this one right here. Again, this one and Fortitude are two great releases from this house. Courage I could do without because it smells just like every other men's generic department store fragrance. These two rock though. If you like unique original fragrances, definitely check out Fortitude and check out Valor. This one's taking on a kind of a aromatic, slightly spicy, fresh amber, if that makes sense. So there's some freshness to it because of there's a sage note in here, I believe. So it's just got this aromatic twist to the fragrance, but it has a great backbone. It's woody and ambery, but a fresh amber, if that makes sense. Very great, awesome fragrance. In fact, this is my most favorite out of the 3, then got Fortitude right behind it. It's really close. This one to me I find to be a little more of a all year round in fall and spring, and Fortitude I find to be more of a, you know, cooler days winter fragrance. But either way, this is Valor from Robert Graham. Again, you can find these for anywhere $30 to $60 if that discounter is a great solid release from Robert Graham. These are the only 3. He's only released three fragrances. I don't know if they're going to release more, but Robert Graham is a designer. He designs men's shirts with lots of patterns and things, as you can see from the pattern on this bottle, and those are kind of looking like his shirt designs. Anyway, number 8, going to the house of Azzaro. This is Azzaro Pour Homme Intense. Now, I need to do a full review of this one because it's so damn good, and I need to buy a couple of backup bottles of this because it's so damn good. Because now Azzaro and Mugler, who used to be part of Clarins, are moving on to L'Oreal. I don't know what they'll do with this fragrance, but this is such a great fragrance. If you like the original Azzaro Pour Homme, you have that DNA in here, but there's this big boozy rum note thrown in that makes the fragrance very modern and boozy and classy and sexy at the same time. It is so good. This is so good, and I've never really done a full review of it. It's time. I think I need to just get myself a couple of backup bottles. I've only bought a small one, and I've gone through another small one, and I keep coming back to it. It's just something that came and didn't really, I guess, didn't really do very well, but I find it to be a very great fragrance. It does hint at the original though. The original going back to like 1978 is when that first one came out. But this one is a very modern take with that boozy note, and I love boozy fragrances. And if you like boozy fragrances, definitely check out Azzaro Pour Homme Intense. This next one is from the house of Givenchy, and this is Gentleman Givenchy Eau de Parfum. So good, so good. It's iris or orris butter. You've got tolu balsam in here, some spices. Absolutely delicious. This is my kind of a fragrance. Sadly, it's not, I guess it doesn't really project too much. I find it to be less of a projection compared to the original, but still, it's a great scent, and it's perfect in the winter time too, and I find this to be one of the better releases of the 2010s for men. Givenchy came back really, really solid with this release. The previous one I didn't really care for too much. It was okay. It was not like a wow groundbreaking, and even though this is not a groundbreaking, I find it to be kind of still inspired by that Dior Homme line of fragrances. Still, it's a great, great release. Check it out, Givenchy, gentlemen, Givenchy Eau de Parfum. At number 6, it's a tie, but the more fragrances, the merrier, right? We'll start with the first one. It's Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Homme, this one right here. Now this one is that intense, very, very intense leather with vetiver. Lots of vetiver and lots of leather here. Very animalic too. Now this fragrance is a bit polarizing. It's a love it or hate it fragrance. It's big, it's bold, it's powerful. It's very, very masculine. If you're looking at the scale, feminine to masculine, it's definitely on this side. It's polarizing. I don't know if it really did well for this house, but it is sort of like a very, very bold statement. Like, do men really wear fragrances like that today? I don't think they do, but I really love this one. It's a great, great scent. It smells great. It's just leathery, slightly animalic, it's woody, it's dark, it's bold, and it's great. But I don't know if you haven't tried it yet or not, but if you like leather fragrances, if you like vetiver or woody fragrances, definitely try this one, because I find it to be an awesome, awesome release from the designers. And the tie, it's tied with Viktor & Rolf's Spice Bomb. Now, Spice Bomb is that spicy fragrance with tobacco. I find it to be a very, very awesome release, and it's great release from the 2010s. And this one is tobacco. It's spicy with cinnamon and pink pepper, and there's chili pepper in here. Just a great, great release. Now, I never really got into the EDP or the extreme version of this, but I really love the original. I guess I should jump into the and sample the extreme version, but I find that to be a great, great release. Very unique. I don't find it to be like other fragrances, just kind of because it has its unique twist and touches, just because of all the notes in here. It doesn't smell like other fragrances. And then recently I did a video comparing this to Spice Blend from Dior, where I find they have very similarities. So Dior is kind of inspired by Spice Bomb. I'm not sure, but that one's called Spice Blend. This is called Spice Bomb. Either way, I find it to be a solid release from the designers, and perfect scent for men who want something spicy and tobacco and all that good stuff. So this is Spice Bomb and Gucci Guilty Pour Homme Absolute. Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Homme, both at number 6. Okay, at number 5, going to the house of Lalique, and this is Encre Noire à la Extrême, this one right here. Classy, classy vetiver. It's big, it's bold, it's intense. It's just the kind of vetiver that I like. Pungent, woody, classy, some resinous touches. There's balsamic qualities to it. Awesome, awesome release, and you can get this for really, really inexpensively. I find it to be one of the best releases of the 2010s, and when this had first launched, I was hunting high and low for this one in Europe during one of my trips as soon as it came out. Finally, well, in Paris, I went and bought a bottle of it at the Lalique boutique, where they have all their like crystals and things like that, because I couldn't find it anywhere. Nobody had it, and it's out there in the discounters now. Everybody's selling them for like $30–40, but a great, great release. If I wanted to say you can find a cheaper version of a Sycamore from Chanel, this is the one you should look at. The original, I like the original, but I just love this one. This one smells just awesome, and it is a great scent. It's very, very classy. If you're starting out with vetiver, you can start with Guerlain vetiver, then graduate to this one, because it's amazing. So anyway, Lalique Encre Noire à l'Extrême. Number 4, going to the house of Bentley. It's Bentley for Men Intense, this one right here. Awesome boozy fragrance. Awesome, awesome boozy fragrance. This one is just to die for, delicious, and I love it in the winter time. It smells great, and it's also very inexpensive. You can find deals with it. It's smoky touches, it's incense, it's boozy touches. I love my boozy fragrances, if you can't tell. And this one, oh man, I love it in the winter time. It has a great trail, it has a great dry down. Awesome, awesome dry down. It smells so good on me, because as soon as it's dry on me, on my skin, I just start smelling myself, and it's very almost orgasmic, if that makes sense. Try it if you like boozy fragrances. I love this one, and it's definitely deserving of a top 5 release. It's Bentley for Men Intense. Amazing. So the next 3, top 3, go into the house of Dior. This is Dior Eau Sauvage Parfum, this one right here. I have the original somewhere. I didn't bring that one because that one actually, that one is a little better than this one, but still this one's pretty close. And this is a great take on the original Eau Sauvage in a Parfum concentration. Now Parfum, not Eau de Parfum. Parfum is like the most concentrated oils in perfume. Eau de Parfum is less than Parfum, and Eau de Toilette is less than Eau de Parfum. So the Parfum versions of fragrances for men rock. This is awesome. Sadly, these are, I can't find much of these anymore. This next three are all from Dior, and you know probably which ones they are. If you can get yourself backup bottles, get them, because I don't know if they're redoing their entire line of fragrances, which I've been seeing pop up in Facebook groups here and there, that people are saying Dior Homme is getting redone, completely redone, like doesn't even smell the same. So Dior, I don't know what you guys are doing, but if you guys are really into these fragrances, get yourself backup bottles, because I don't know what they're going to do with their fragrances, especially if they're changing them. But this one is an awesome take on a resinous take on the original Eau Sauvage. Just think of Eau Sauvage, the original Eau de Toilette, just concentrated. This is awesome stuff. This is Eau Sauvage Parfum at number 3. Number 2 is Fahrenheit Le Parfum. Here we go. Very tough to find here in the States. I don't know why. Just like the last one. Although the last one was easier. This one is much more tough, and the number 1 is going to be the worst to find. But Fahrenheit Le Parfum is very unisex to me. It's very gourmand. It's boozy. It's vanillic. It's leathery. It's violet leaves. Absolutely delicious. I love it. These 3 fragrances, this one and the next one and the previous one, awesome in the winter time, and I find it to be one of the best releases of the 2010s for men. Fahrenheit Le Parfum, it's much better than the original Fahrenheit, which is just butchered to death. This one rocks. Last but not least, you guessed it, it is Dior Homme Parfum, my favorite designer release of the 2010s. Absolutely the best. I don't know what they're doing with Dior Homme line, guys. As I said, I've been seeing things pop up that people are saying it smells nothing like the original Dior Homme series. I don't know what the heck they're doing, but please, God, please don't screw up my Dior Homme Parfum. And this is so hard to find here in the States. If you can get it, get it. It's just that Dior Homme concentrated. The best way to experience Dior Homme. Intensity, just the way I like it. But this is all about leather. It's a very it's resinous, it's powdery, lots of iris. It does have a leathery lipstick kind of just imagine lipstick kind of like spilled into a leather purse, and you can smell the leather and the lipstick together. I just love that combo. It's just a great scent, guys. Very classy, very sexy. There's some rose thrown in there. There's some ambrette seeds in there. Amazing scent. Definitely deserves the number 1 spot for 2010, the 2010s. That is Dior Homme Parfum. Anyway, guys, that's my favorite fragrances of the 2010s decade. As far as designer men's releases go from their regular lineup of fragrances, no unisex fragrances here, all from men's all men's releases for men from the designers. What do you guys think? Did I miss anything? Probably not. I went through all my fragrances, and these are the ones I pulled for. I wanted to make the video a little longer, but I decided to just stick with 25, and 25 is a lot anyway. But this is detailing every single one of my favorite releases from the 2010s. Anyway, guys, if you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Otherwise, please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.